What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. In today's video, I want to talk about how the Jets are wasting the talents of Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson with the most inept offense of the modern era. That is not hyperbole. That is not something that's subjective. And it's like, oh, well, I just think I'm a Jets fan, so I'm just negative, and I think that this is really the worst offense. No, there are legitimate numbers that you could look at, whether it's being on pace for the worst third down team of all time or the worst red zone efficiency of all time. Or how about True Media? Their database goes back to 2000, so there is 766 teams listed, and the Jets in 2023 are the worst of all of them in EPA. And the crazy part is there's some talent on this offense. Like we look at the 2020 New York Jets with Adam Gase having Frank Gore as your leading rusher and like Jamison Crowder, Brashad Perryman, a bunch of randos in the wide receiver room, rookie Denzel Mims. They ranked 745th. So we've seen some really bad offenses. 2019, 734. 2018, 736. The 2022 Jets, the best, up at 156. Hey, that's not terrible. But 745 in 2020 and 766 dead last. Holy smokes, man. They are really, really bad. And the fact that they have two talented players in Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson and are still this bad just really goes to show you how inept they are at other areas on this team. And it's a mix of everything. When you are this bad, it's the quarterback, it's the coordinator, it's the line, it's the weapons, it's everything. Everything is going into this. But I've seen some blame get tossed around Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson's way. Breece Hall the last few weeks. Garrett Wilson was a few weeks ago when he had a couple of fumbles. But the point that I wanted to make was really like that's a lot of misguided anger is going towards those two guys when really there are so many other Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall on the concern level for things that I am actually worried about with this team are so far down the list of concerns. Breece Hall, let's take a look at Breece Hall first. And specifically, he's been getting more criticism recently. But on this season, he has 585 rushing yards. Of those 585, 423 of those yards have come after contact. PFF, whatever you think about their grading system is one thing. Not a big fan of their actual like just output grades, but they do have some, I think, meaningful statistics that they track. One of those being yards after contact. What that means is how many yards after a player is hit are they then getting? And you could actually have, as a running back, more yards after contact in a game than actual rushing yards because if you think about it, if you get hit behind the line of scrimmage and gain yards after that, that is still yards after contact, even if you are doing that behind the line of scrimmage and not actually gaining positive net yards past that. So I want to look at the most recent 7 games. So ever since AVT went down after his big game against Denver, the Breece's big game against Denver, his rushing numbers haven't been there. Against Atlanta, 16 rushing yards. 16, if you just look at the box score, you go, oh my God. 13 rushes for 16 yards. Really bad day for Breece Hall. 16 yards after contact. Every single one of his yards in this game, he gained after contact. Miami, 25 rushing yards, 27 after contact. He had more yards after contact than actual rushing yards. Buffalo, 23 rushing yards, 20 after contact. Raiders, 28 rushing yards, 24 after contact. Chargers, 50 rushing yards, 39 after contact. Giants, 17 rushing yards, 18 after contact. And Philly, 39 rushing yards, 19 after contact. The Jets are so bad right now run blocking. So bad that because Breece Hall cannot get to the line of scrimmage. And that's why I was upset with Robert Saleh early in the week talking about Breece Hall needing to get those grimy yards, because that is clearly not the issue why Breece Hall isn't getting those yards. He's not afraid to run people over. He ran over someone in the Falcons game. He knocked out A.J. Terrell out of the game because he ran him over. He can run hard if he needs to. How about just create a lane for him? And by the way, you can't then go, haha, see, gotcha. It's the offensive line fault. That's why Zach Wilson was that bad. It was part of the reason why Zach Wilson was bad. But how about looking at Zach Wilson's numbers when he was kept clean with a clean pocket? Not good. Also not good. So that's not the gotcha moment. And you think it is. Unfortunately, it's not. But the percentage of his yards that are coming after contact is just an absolutely ridiculous number. Then you get to Garrett Wilson. Poor old Garrett Wilson, man, in this game against Atlanta was running wide the F open the entire first half, and Tim Boyle was too afraid to pull the trigger. Countless times deep down the field, he was open, and they would not throw him the ball. One-on-one opportunity to Garrett Wilson would not go that way. Even after the game, Robert Saleh was like, guys are open, quarterback can't get him the ball, which is a problem that they've had for years. And I don't get why, again, the reaction is, oh, Zach would have hit him. Based on what? Reading a defense isn't Zach's strength. We could talk about Zach Wilson's strengths, which is his athleticism, his arm talent, his ability, outside the pocket to make plays when things break down. The play running off the play action when, he tucks it and runs and uses his athleticism. And no one's saying that Zach Wilson's not more talented and not a better quarterback than Tim Boyle. I'll be the first one to tell you that. But to just pretend like Zach Wilson hasn't had issues reading defenses is such recency bias because of what we're seeing from Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle is not a rosterable NFL quarterback. I told you that in April. Throughout the whole freaking time he was here, he was a camp body, someone to keep warm, take third and fourth quarter preseason snaps, and you stick him on your practice squad. He should not have been QB2 after Aaron Rodgers goes down. And the thing is, after the game, Garrett Wilson goes up there to the podium and is still a pro's pro.
I love this game. I want to prove something every time I'm out there. My legacy's on the line, my family's legacy's on the line. Every time I take the field, every rep, that's how I look at it. So it's got to, the play's got to show, and or it's got to show in your play, and that's got to be my mindset. I love my guys, and I would never even think about losing. I forget what the word was you used, but losing that on them. Losing my faith in them, losing whatever it may be.
Nobody, not a single soul, would be upset if Garrett Wilson just completely melted down and was like, you know what, F this, I'm done. Because he is on pace to put up over 1,000 yards for the second year in a row with the worst quarterback room in the NFL for the second year in a row, with the worst offensive coordinator in the NFL, with a bottom of the barrel offensive line, all these factors that go into it. And Garrett Wilson is still producing, and he's up there after the game speaking like a true leader. He is someone who is legit captain material. I am happy that he is here and a New York Jet, because not only is he a talented player, but he has the right mindset. And any fan who is putting any sort of brain capacity to be upset at either Breece Hall or Garrett Wilson when looking at the New York Jets and their offensive struggles, it is so, I can't even put into words how misguided that is. There are a lot of reasons to be upset about this offense. You look at in the game last night, Monday Night Football, Jake Browning is starting for the Cincinnati Bengals. And yes, they have more talent than the Jets do. And they have a better play caller than the Jets do. But to see these other teams go to backup quarterbacks and keep their season afloat, while the Jets have to scratch and claw for any yard. The Bengals scored 4 touchdowns in that game last night. The Jets have 10 on the season. 10 through 12 games. Bengals with Jake Browning is putting up 4 touchdowns in a game. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. But for Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, it's not worth your energy or effort or brain capacity to put any sort of blame on them for this issue. And I feel bad for them. I genuinely feel bad for Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, because like Jet fans, they also don't deserve this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm Matt O'Leary. I'll catch you next time.